Ladies and gentlemen, just to let you know, we have a lost child with the bar staff. If she's yours, please collect her within 15 minutes, otherwise she'll be towed. So I've just come back from a long holiday. I've always been a fan of Roman history and Roman ruins, so my first stop was Tokyo. It was a long-haul flight of Ryanair, which means that even if the plane doesn't crash, you end up resorting to cannibalism. But Tokyo is a beautiful city of really respectful people. But there are some things that I found unusual, like how it's never allowed for you to wear shoes indoors, which did very nice gating for me. What I found more alarming was the stuff I saw on TV there. The anime in particular had more depictions of schoolgirls getting injured than the Syrian version of You Been Framed. After Tokyo, my next stop was Rome itself, which I did enjoy, but on nights out there are guaranteed to be aggressive drunks in the streets. But the situation did improve once you left the gates of the Vatican. Finally, after Rome, I went to Pompeii. And because of everything the volcano preserved, you really got to know what daily life was like for the average Roman back then. And walking along the excavation site, you can tell that most people's job in those days was to produce statues of terrified Italians. So I found out recently that there was a couple in Bradford who were married for 90 years. It was actually quite sad in a way, because it was a messy divorce. But now I'm sort of an adult, I do wonder if I should ever get married. And I think it's a question we should all seriously ask ourselves at some point, even if you're here tonight with your spouse. Because, whether we like it or not, there is the uncomfortable statistic when it comes to how many marriages last these days. You know, Adolf Hitler survived 5 years of war, but couldn't have 2 days of the wife. Mind you, I don't think I have to worry about weddings just yet. And not just because I can't speak in public for 90 seconds without mentioning Hitler. But also because I've just been dumped and, let's just say, working in software comes with the gender ratio of the Smurfs. Maybe that's why they're all blue. But anyway, yeah, my ex. One thing I always remember about her is that she never wore makeup because she said it made her look like a panda. I thought that was rather fitting because she gained weight every winter and had no interest in mating. Sorry, that was a bit harsh. We should cut Panda some slack. Well, I mean, if you're running a country trying to get endangered species to multiply, maybe you shouldn't have a one-child policy? So I voted in the general election this year, and it was actually the first one I ever voted in. Well, I did vote in the 2011 referendum on whether or not we should switch to the alternative vote. In that one I voted yes, with no as my second preference. I don't think there have been any referendums since. But this time round I thought it was so important to stop the Tories that I had to do my bit. And I decided to be tactical and do a vote swap with a friend of mine in a different constituency. So my friend voted for Jeremy Corbyn in Inverclyde, and where I live in Enfield North I voted for the SNP. So I'm trying to take better care of myself. And it's been a conscious choice ever since my uncle had to have a heart transplant. He's fine now, which I must admit did come as a surprise given that he was a donor. So now I don't smoke anymore. Well, I smoke when I drink, which I guess is still bad because there are usually kids in the car. I'm cutting down on drinking itself because it's dawned on me that every time I drink I end up lazy, loud, self-deluded, and incredibly handsome. I wouldn't say I have a beer belly, but let's just say when I'm on the tube, don't need to worry about getting a seat. I really enjoy stand-up comedy. I've only done it a couple of times in my life, but I guess I'm decent and I do make people laugh. I'm talking about sex, by the way. But I wouldn't have gone into stand-up comedy if I wasn't convinced by a friend of mine who regularly does it himself. And before my first set, I met up with him for a pint, and you can tell I was really nervous, but he gave me some really good words of wisdom. He just said, "Look, Tom, as surprised as I am to find out you're ripped, put your shirt back on. But if you put the effort in, it's really hard to mess with a 5-minute set. Just don't say the word cunt on stage." Ladies and gentlemen, you've been wonderful. Thank you very much.